Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time.
So for today's explainer, we're diving into a book I think is just fantastic. Richard Beeman's The Penguin Guide to the United States Constitution. It's such a great resource because it doesn't just hand you the text, it gives you the story behind it, the whole context that really makes it click.
And you know, this book gets you thinking about a really big question. In a country that's so often defined by a passionate, loud disagreement, what is the glue? What actually holds the entire system of government together and stops it from just flying apart?
Well, the answer is kind of surprising, and it's just one word. It's tension. Yeah, you heard that right. Not unity, not agreement, but managed, constant, and, believe it or not, productive tension.
Okay, so this leads us to a really powerful way to picture the Constitution. Don't think of it as some solid, immovable fortress. Instead, I want you to imagine a giant suspension bridge. And what keeps that bridge standing strong? It's the simple fact that you have these massive cables pulling with incredible force in completely opposite directions.
What's so brilliant about this design is the core belief behind it, that if you put all the power in one place, it's going to get unstable, fast. So the goal was never to get rid of conflict. No way. Instead, the system was literally engineered to use conflict, to channel all these competing forces against each other to create balance.
So, how does this bridge actually work? What are these cables that are doing all the heavy lifting? Let's take a look at the core principles that are constantly pulling against one another to keep the whole thing from collapsing.
It really boils down to three big ones. You've got separation of powers, which is the split between Congress, the president, and the courts. Then there's federalism. That's the constant tug of war between the national government and the states. And finally, you have judicial review, which lets the courts call foul on the other two branches.
Federalism is a perfect example of this in action. I mean, on one side, you've got the Supremacy Clause, which basically says federal law is king. But pulling just as hard in the other direction is the 10th Amendment, which says any powers not given to the feds belong to the states. It's that constant push and pull. That's what creates the tension and ultimately the stability.
And this isn't some happy accident. The system is intentionally designed to pit these forces against one another. The framers were realists. They knew people are ambitious. So they built a system where the self-interest of one branch would naturally act as a check on the others.
James Madison absolutely nailed this in Federalist Number 51. Ambition must be made to counteract ambition. Think about that for a second. The idea wasn't to find perfect, selfless people to run the government. The idea was to build a structure so clever that even ambitious people, just by defending their own power, would keep the entire system in balance.
Let's make this real simple. Congress passes a bill. The president, protecting their power, says nope and vetoes it. Then Congress, flexing its own muscle, can turn around and override that veto. And even after all that, the courts can step in and say the whole law is unconstitutional. It's like a perfectly choreographed fight by design.
But here's the thing about our bridge. It's not made of stone. It's designed to be flexible. It's supposed to bend and shift under pressure without breaking. And that evolution happens through constant reinterpretation.
You can see this all through history, right? In 1803, Marbury v. Madison happens. Not one word was added to the Constitution. But suddenly, bam, the courts have this massive power of judicial review. One of the main cables just got a whole lot stronger. Then, fast forward to 1954, Brown v. Board of Education. Again, the words didn't change, but what they meant was completely reinterpreted, and that shifted the balance of the entire structure.
And here is the really crucial part. These huge shifts, these intense struggles, they don't break the system. They get absorbed by the system. The tension is just redistributed, the cables shift a bit, but the bridge itself stays standing. That adaptability is the real secret to its endurance.
So all of this is leading us to the main idea here. What if the way most of us look at political fighting and all that gridlock is, well, completely backwards?
You know that feeling? We see all the shouting and the political conflict and we just think, the system is broken. But what if that conflict isn't a sign that the system is failing? What if it's actually the sound of the system working exactly like it's supposed to?
This right here, this is the crisis in perception. It's when we mistake the normal, structural tension holding everything up for some kind of temporary failure. We look at the bridge, we see the cables straining, and we think it's about to collapse, when really, that strain is the only thing holding it together.
And that is the ultimate takeaway. That constant push and pull, the friction we see everywhere in American government. It's not a bug in the system that needs to be fixed. It is the system. The tension isn't the flaw, it's the feature. It's the whole mechanism.
This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon.
For a longer audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description.
If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.